this has been with Accura Outdoors, and today we're going to talk about Dryfire products. Being with the current condition and a lot of matches being closed, what else are you going to do? Dryfire at home, unless you have the affordability to go out and actually practice at a range. A lot of us are going to be dry firing at home. So kind of the caveat with some of these products that we're going to go over, it's going to depend on the mail services, if you're going to be able to get them, and maybe you might be able to buy them directly or your local stores. So here is a list of items that you should add to your Dryfire arsenal to be more proficient in your competition and firearms handling. So the first one is the one we're actually giving away this month, is a Cool Fire Trainer setup. So what it is it replaces the barrel on your firearm and puts it basically a CO2 filled barrel, and when you fire, it releases it and actually will cycle your gun with just a CO2 in there. So really nice that you can actually feel your recoil. For me, I like it because it diminishes the muscle memory of having to rack the slide just to get that trigger reset. So I thought this was probably one of the coolest. It's going to be one of the more expensive items. It's around $400 to $500 for a setup for one gun. You might be able to get away with getting a couple barrels in one refill station, but for the cost, it's really not that bad. And there's a lot of benefits from it. The next one that kind of goes with it, that's made by laser light training targets. What they are is little targets that are reactive to a laser being projected on it. So there's a lot of different product out there that you can either put in, like say a dummy round or something of the sort, that when you pull the trigger, it'll emit a laser dot. So this will help with being able to dry fire, seeing where you're aiming. This also works with the Cool Fire Trainer if you have the laser attached to the barrel. So kind of works in conjunction, but there's also other options out there. Another one I do really like is the Dryfire mag. This is really beneficial for people who have Glock or Smith & Wesson pistols, because that's all they make them for. From the way I understand this works is that you have to insert the mag, I think you pull the trigger and then you rack it, I believe. But when you pull the trigger, it gives you that feeling of reset and that audible click. So it's a really cool kind of inexpensive way for getting that click and that audible feeling. So dummy rounds. So dummy rounds have been around for a long time. The nice thing is you can use them for so we have trains by us. So the nice thing about dummy rounds is you can put a full magazine, so if you're doing reloads, you can get that feeling of a full magazine. A lot of people, I don't say a lot, but there are articles stating that you shouldn't dry fire without something in the chamber. There's also a lot of articles stating that if it's a modern striker fire, obviously not a rim fire, but just a center fire gun, that it won't hurt anything. So it's kind of your decision on what you want to do. But if you just like to be cautious, then dummy rounds are great for that. Also, they're great for doing malfunctions and doing training for that. So they're an inexpensive, cheap option. Another good one is from Ben Stoeger. Maybe I said that right. Yes, Stoeger. Sorry if I said that wrong. He makes dry fire targets, and they're small little guys. But the benefit of it is that it's a simulated distance. So a full size target, something that's the size of Stinky Pete over here, they're say like this big, but if you have them say a certain distance, like say you're 10 feet away, I believe it's equivalent to about 10 yards away. But there's a conversion on their website, so check that out. But that way when you're aiming at it, the distance that normally it would be is the same. So it's kind of a cool thing. If you have a small area, you can use these small little targets and have a simulate distance without having to use a full-size target. That's kind of the main list. There's a lot of different other products out there. Just simple Dryfire training is really good. I've seen they have a deck of cards that you pull a card and it has certain instructions on what to do, whether it's you moving or just working on repetitions. But there's a lot of good resources out there. So right now, with everything going on and people being either quarantined or staying at home, working from home, now's a great time to sit there and practice and work on your Dryfire. And if you want to step up to the next game, there's a lot of products that we mentioned today that should help with your Dryfire practice and maybe make it a little more interesting. So stay safe. I'll see you on the range, and we're in this together.